The BRUNEL Hardened Reverse Induction Reheat Array by Chris Mendham. Read by Steve Parker.
I have it! I have it!
I cried as I leapt from the sacrificial table of the old ones, a laugh rupturing with such force it made my dentures rattle. I pirouetted in mid-air, landing into a cabriole before finishing off with the old arabesque. All executed with such grace, such poise, diminished only by my knees buckling under the bulk of my engorged stomach, causing me to crash hard into the Siberian dragon scale bureau, chipping off yet another lump of its once priceless veneer. It was 5 years to the day since my last failure, and with the family fortune all but a memory, I continued to embark upon that perilous quest into the heart, liver, and spleen of darkness in pursuit of the elusive answers to that most pressing of questions: what price peace? And how can we build a lasting peace with that most terrible thing, namely fear, to keep it so? However, on this momentous day, I finally had the answer. There was a familiar thump, thump, thump from the ground floor apartment. I pulled myself up off the threadbare Atlantis rug, supporting the base of my back, rueing the day 40 years ago when I, then but a small child, indulged father's whim by showing off my inherited circus skills. This involved swinging from a chandelier that turned out to have been secured to the ceiling by the flimsiest of excuses. So it was on that fateful day I learned father had lied to me about my legacy. In turn, disgusted by my lack of circus perspicacity, he denounced me.
You mewling wastrel!
He decried, and henceforth never spoke to me again, removing me from his will. Fortunately, I became adept at counterfeiting his signature, a real skill that to this day I am most proud. Thump, thump, thump. Dismissing memories of the patriarch, I aped the ancient Mesopotamians when wishing to insult, and stamped hard with my left boot, regretting it instantly as pain shot up my spine.
Mother, leave it be!
I swear that woman's intolerance doth butter no parsnips. Limping back to the sacrificial table of the old ones, I beheld the intricate design of symbols and lines flowing across the parchment, held down at the farthest corners by 4 horned gorilla skulls. At the center of the design, 3 strange antediluvian cryptograms inveigled and beguiled. To think, 5 years ago, this once blank sheet of paper stared dumbly up at me, taunting me after my recent failure. And now it held the answers to all of man's folly. Impressed by my own hubris, I struck the table with my fist, and in response from down below, thump, thump, thump. Damn that woman. I had sacrificed so much, but others had sacrificed more. In fact, 37 people had so far relinquished their vivacity. Or was it 38? Striding to the door, I swung it wide open and called out down the oak-paneled landing, "Davy, come hither, girl!" A door opened at the far end, and the voice of an angel reverberated into my ears.
"I'm a woman, you patronizing asshole."
I chuckled and returned to my work. Shortly after, the girl stomped into my room, standing before me holding a scythe and dripping from head to toe in blood.
By the great lords of blasted hell, girl, you're wearing trousers?
At first, the congealing blood had disguised the transgression, but the once white tuxedo was unmistakable. Davy sneered. She had that look permanently worn by the young these days. It was as if they needed to evacuate their bowels, but no one, not even primal instinct, would tell them what to do.
"This is the 21st century, old man,"
she said.
"not Victorian England."
I waggled a manicured index finger at the girl.
Not for much longer.
Thump, thump, thump.
For the love of Satan's rectal sphincter, mother, give it a rest!
Davy struck the blunt end of her scythe on the floor, specimen bottles stacked to the ceiling clattering on my many shelves. Mother fell silent. I cast my gaze back to the sacrificial table and the wonderment upon it.
What is the count? I asked.
Too few,
said Davy.
How many in actuality, girl?
I could feel her bristle.
38 with more prepped.
You couldn't fault the girl's work acumen or her dedication to the job.
Do you have their tears?
Davy removed a jam jar from her pocket. The clear liquid inside shimmered gold in the candlelight.
Good work. Take the rest of the day off. Enjoy yourself, for tomorrow the real work begins.
Davy grinned, and it was the most ferocious thing I'd ever seen. She bounded down the landing and back into the far room. Shortly after, the screaming began. I couldn't help but giggle. Dipping a phoenix quill into the jar of tears, the nib thirstily sucked up the contents. With swift slashes of the quill, I joined the 3 cryptograms, creating thick, wet lines that bled into the parchment. The cryptograms began to glow. Standing back, I witnessed a manifestation boil above the parchment, increasing in size, a dark, apprehensive cloud folding in upon itself. Out of this maelstrom, it appeared. Formless at first, then bursting forth in all its malevolent glory, it floated impossibly before my eyes. The sleek, chrome machine purred. Gears and pistons driven by unknowable forces, a power of perpetual mystery, unstoppable, eternal.
Behold! I cried. The BRUNEL hardened reverse induction reheater ray!
I resisted the urge to show off my ballet skills. What wonders this machine will achieve. Armies will melt before me, kings will bow. All will flock to my cause and worship my genius, and the riches of the world will be mine! 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 Then we'll have eternal peace. The air thickened, the vision before me shimmered, the machine made some very odd noises. I stood back, dumbfounded. Before my unbelieving eyes, the machine broke apart and was sucked into an abyss. Lost to all forever. A pain shot through me. One hand grasping my chest, I staggered to the drinks cabinet, reaching for the unicorn blood. Again, I had failed. Oh well, nil desperandum. Thump, thump, thump.
Not now, mother!
Thump, thump, thump. I could feel the headache coming on. Thump, thump, thump. I stormed out of my study and bounded down the stairs. Reaching her door, I burst in. Mother, like a peeled turd with tusks I swore were bigger, had broken loose from one of her chains. Again. By the vast shedding of stomach lining, she was going through another change. From one of her many rancid claws, father, naked and covered in I dare not say what, fixed me with bleeding eyes, but I had no time for mother's plaything. Roared mother. Leaning back out of the room, I called up the stairs.
Davy, my treasure, my delight. A moment, if you please.
I heard her quick feet skip gaily out of her room and across the landing. Mother roared, covering me in tendrils of bile. Taking out my handkerchief, I dabbed at my face.
No, I don't know. You accidentally turn your mother into a ravaging shit demon, and you never hear the end of it.